The story begins with this young man running through the city. His name is Joo In-gong, that means protagonist. His parents gave him this name in the hope that he would become an important figure in the world, maybe a hero. And of course, ever since he was young, he was made fun endlessly of his name. But he never minded the teasing from others because he truly wanted to be that hero. In present, he bursts into a familiar shop where his friends welcome him. One friend confirms he saved a copy of the game just for him. The game is the remake of a famous title, Knight Saga, now called Knight Saga Re. The game tells the epic story of a great war between humans and demons. Players can choose the human hero, Loch, a warrior in shining armor. The other path is to side with the demons in their dark, fiery realm and choose to play as Zephyr Ragnaros, the Demon King's eldest son. In-gong knows the original game perfectly, having cleared it over 10 times. He knows every character, item, and event. This new version is special because it is the first one made for virtual reality. So In-gong goes straight home to his advanced VR gaming chair. He holds the small game cartridge carefully before inserting it into the machine. He places the sleek VR helmet over his head and settles into the seat with his arms crossed, feeling confident and ready. He plans to enjoy a light session, which for him means about 8 hours of play. The system boots up, and vibrant streams of digital light completely surround him. Strangely, he finds himself not in the usual game starting area, but in a strange, sunlit room. He notices his own reflection and sees he has strange, pointy ears. Looking down at his new body, he sees a white-haired boy with red eyes. He wonders who this character is. A rough voice suddenly calls from the door, asking sarcastically if the slacker is still asleep. An orc warrior opens a curtain and demands that he leave quickly because they have a morning schedule. In-gong is amazed by the incredibly realistic graphics. However, his comment about the graphics only confuses the orc. In-gong realizes he can interact and talk to the characters, a feature the game never announced. He nervously asks the orc for his name. The warrior seems uncomfortable and asks if he has forgotten him. Still, the orc repeats his name to him, saying it's Karak. The orc then tells him to hurry because everyone is waiting for Prince Shutra. In-gong freezes. He remembers that Shutra Ignis is the 9th son of the Demon King. He never chose this character. Remembering the game's controls, he raises his hand to open his status window. A holographic screen appears immediately, confirming the command worked. The window shows his name is Shutra Ignis, and all his stats are a pitiful 5 points, lower than a normal NPC. After seeing his poor stats, he checks his skills. The screen displays 2 skills, Conquest and something called Protagonist Bonus. He stares at the name in disbelief, wondering if it is the special bonus he knows from stories. Karak pokes his head around the curtain again, yelling at him to hurry. Shutra quickly agrees and follows the impatient orc warrior outside. Stepping out into the daylight, he stops, completely shocked by the sight before him. A full army of orc soldiers is gathered in formation, looking ready for a great battle. He asks Karak why they are on a battlefield. The orc tells him to stop wasting time because they have to deal with the Red Lightning guys. Karak cheers that it is his first deployment, but Shutra panics internally, wondering what happened to the tutorial. He realizes they are going up against the rebellious Scarlet Lightning orc tribe who have already raised their army, and his mission alongside the 7th prince and 8th princess is to suppress this rebellion. He questions why they only brought 10 men for his first battle. Karak clarifies that it is just a reconnaissance mission. The orc then asks if he ate something strange, pointing out his weird behavior. The prince just stares back without an answer. He then raises his hand to summon another game interface, and a holographic minimap appears before him, which he plans to keep active for navigation. He immediately notices a hidden path marked on the map and wonders if it is a secret event. Meanwhile, Karak studies a physical map, concluding that their current route will take far too long. Shutra confidently tells his companion to follow him, claiming he knows a much faster shortcut. Though very skeptical, the orc squad follows their young prince through dense and unfamiliar woods. The shortcut turns out to be a perilous climb up a steep and treacherous cliff face. The intense physical effort leaves Shutra sweating and struggling to catch his breath, as his body is not used to such strain. After the difficult climb, the group arrives at a massive, ancient stone door set into the mountainside. The door has heavy, ornate ring handles, showing it has been sealed for a very long time. Karak is amazed and asks how he found this place, wondering if he is secretly a mage. Shutra dismisses the idea. Seeing how exhausted the prince is, Karak asks if he is okay. Shutra laments his low level 1 stamina internally. He tells them to wait as he steps forward onto a glowing sigil on the ground right in front of the door. The moment he steps on the sigil, golden flames erupt from the ground, swirling around him. The sudden and powerful surge of energy catches him completely off guard, leaving him stunned and confused. The energy envelops him, and a notification appears, announcing that he has successfully leveled up. He stares at his interface in complete disbelief, wondering how he could have leveled up just by walking, and his status screen confirms that all his stats have increased by 2 points. He has also gained 2 skill points. This makes him realize the true and incredible power of his protagonist bonus. A small smile forms on his face as he understands the great potential of his unique perk. Karak pulls him from his thoughts, urging him to move quickly. The prince agrees to follow. He feels a new confidence about what awaits him, knowing he is not alone and has trusted allies by his side. Most importantly, he now understands that his protagonist bonus means even a disaster can turn into a great opportunity for growth and victory. The group advances into the dark cave. Jagged, icy walls hint at the many dangers that await them inside. Karak comments that the tunnel appears to have been dug by dwarves, a race he claims lived in the demonic realm long ago. They venture deeper into the mountain. The orc warrior suddenly stops, his eyes wide with surprise at a discovery. The entire squad explodes with excitement upon finding a hidden treasure trove of abandoned dwarven weapons. Ancient swords and axes gleam in the dim light, left behind by their makers. While the orcs celebrate the discovery, Shutra remains calm, observing the treasure with a thoughtful expression. He knows such finds often come with a price in his game. He attempts to pick up a powerful-looking sword, but a system message blocks him. The notification informs him that his level and attributes are too low to wield it. Undeterred by the restrictions, he decides the best option is to save the items for later. He simply points at a weapon and thinks the command to store it. The item disappears and appears in his inventory slot, confirming the system works on his intention. However, upon checking his minimap again, he notices several red enemy dots suddenly appear on its edge. Realizing the dots represent approaching enemies, he quickly shouts for everyone to retreat immediately. But his warning comes too late. A strange glowing red crystal materializes between 2 of his soldiers and begins to crack. The crystal explodes violently, releasing a powerful shockwave of energy that sends the orcs flying. From the smoke and debris, a red-skinned warrior steps forward. His tribe emerges from the shadows behind him. He is Kai-chan, the commander of Scarlet Lightning tribe. He taunts them for falling into his perfect trap. Without another word, he gives the order for his soldiers to charge and eliminate everyone. The 2 orc tribes clash violently in the narrow cave. The sound of metal against metal and roaring warriors echoes off the walls. Karak fights fiercely on the front lines, defending his men against the overwhelming enemy forces. Shutra stands frozen in the middle of the battle, clutching a cheap sword. He sees one of his soldiers fall nearby and knows he must do something. He considers trying to land a last hit on a foe to gain some easy experience. Seeing a red orc distracted while fighting one of his allies, the young prince sees his chance. He rushes forward and swings the sword with all his strength, aiming for a decisive blow. The weapon shatters harmlessly against the enemy's tough hide, leaving the prince stunned and defenseless. The red warrior turns around slowly, its eyes glowing with fury as it focuses on its small attacker. It lets out a terrifying roar and lunges toward him, causing Shutra to scream in absolute panic. The enemy stomps the ground with incredible force, cracking the stone under its feet as it charges forward. A single powerful punch connects with the prince's chest, sending him flying backward through the air. His health bar plummets to a critical 1 point, and he stares at the notification in sheer terror. The enraged orc looms over him, its weapon raised high, ready to land the finishing strike. He shuts his eyes and lets out a final scream, bracing for the end. But Karak leaps in front of the prince at the last moment, absorbing the fatal blow himself to protect his master. The loyal warrior turns, his body wounded, and shouts for his highness to escape immediately while he still can. Shutra stares at his own trembling hands, trying to convince himself that this is only a game. He decides he has had enough for one day and tries to open the menu to log out, complaining about the hyper-realistic violence. He looks on with a flushed, confused expression, trying to process the grim situation around him. He checks his skills again, but the window now shows no option of logging out available. His eyes widen in shock and disbelief, and a bead of sweat runs down his temple as the truth sinks in. He scrolls through the menu options in a panic, realizing with horror that he cannot log out. While his allies continue to fight and fall around him, he keeps sitting on the cold ground wondering if he is truly trapped in the game. Suddenly, his attention is drawn back to the battle as the enemy commander begins chanting and gathering magical energy. Kai-chan channels a powerful spell into his staff, a sinister grin on his face as pink energy crackles around him. He leaps into the air and unleashes the full force of his magic directly down upon the helpless prince. Shutra looks up in terror, desperately thinking that he cannot allow himself to die in this place. The blast of destructive energy slams into him, the impact consuming him in a flash of blinding pink light. He gasps for his last breath, his body going limp as his consciousness begins to fade away. A system window appears in the darkness, its cold text confirming that the prince's health has dropped to 0. Instead of the expected logout, he finds himself standing alone in a vast, empty blue void. He looks around the strange, endless space, completely bewildered. He recalls the violent attack from the Red Orc warrior, and a dreadful thought crosses his mind, filling him with pure terror that he might have actually died. Suddenly, a brilliant golden light shines in the distance, pulling his attention away from the darkness. A mysterious, powerful voice echoes through the void, telling him he is the destiny of this place. A beautiful, goddess-like figure emerges from the radiant light. She urges him to conquer, to subjugate, and to rule. The prince is left completely stunned by this mysterious woman's powerful declaration. He turns away from the blinding light as his consciousness is violently pulled back from the strange void. Back in the cavern, the fierce battle between the two rival orc tribes rages on without him. The Scarlet Lightning tribe's superior numbers are quickly overwhelming Karak's outnumbered forces. Their commander, Kai-chan, watches with arrogance as his warriors easily dominate the fight. He mocks the intruders for their foolishness, calling them either ignorant or just plain stupid. He gives the order to finish them off, but just then, a brilliant golden light suddenly erupts in the cave. The commander stares in shock at the resurrected prince, questioning how he could have returned. Shutra is back amidst chaos, and now his body is enveloped in a strange, powerful golden aura. A system notification appears before him announcing he has acquired a new skill, psychokinesis. He stares at the message, completely baffled as to when or how he learned it. Then, a spark of realization flashes into his eyes as he understands something fundamental has changed. Moreover, his status screen now displays a subclass he has never seen before, Knight of Conquest. The enemy commander roars in absolute fury, ordering his soldiers to kill the prince first. Karak can only stare in disbelief, his eyes wide with shock upon seeing his leader alive and well. The sight of their resurrected prince inspires the green orcs, who rally to his side with renewed hope. They form a defensive wall around Shutra, ready to protect him from the charging enemy horde. The young prince clutches his broken sword hilt, his attention still glued to his status window. He reads the name Knight of Conquest, a class that never existed in the original game. He questions the reason behind all these unexpected changes. He decides to try it out and raises his broken fist, channeling his newfound energy. A spell instinctively comes to mind, and his eyes start glowing with intense power. He can feel the words resonate within him, as if he has known them his entire life. He releases the spell, declaring that the power of conquest is the true power of a king, and a massive wave of golden energy erupts from him, enveloping his allies and empowering them. The system confirms the activation of his Under the King's Banner ability, empowering all allies in the area. Karak and the other green orcs roar with newfound strength, feeling incredible power coursing through their veins. Filled with incredible vigor, the reinvigorated soldiers advance to eliminate their enemies. The empowered orcs tear through the ranks of the Scarlet Lightning tribe with unstoppable, overwhelming force. The battlefield shifts rapidly as Shutra's allies easily overwhelm their once dominant foes. The red orcs are completely stunned by their enemy's sudden, inexplicable surge in strength. Kai-chan can only stare in disbelief at the ridiculous turn of events unfolding before him. He watches his army being decimated, his eyes finally falling on the source of the chaos. The commander realizes the young prince is responsible for turning the tide of the battle. In a last desperate effort, Kai-chan summons enormous magical crystals to attack Shutra directly. But Karak intervenes, shattering the ground with a powerful punch and creating a thick smokescreen. The loyal warrior then lunges forward, propelled by the prince's psychokinesis ability. Shutra points his broken sword, directing his trusted ally like a homing missile toward the enemy leader. Kai-chan watches in terror as the powerful orc warrior flies directly toward him at incredible speed. The enemy leader tries to protest, but it is too late to react or defend himself. Karak's attack lands with devastating force, killing the Scarlet Lightning tribe commander. With their leader gone, the remaining red orcs panic and flee. Shutra orders his men to hunt them down. A notification appears explaining that a general's merit always belongs to their king. He is then bombarded with multiple level-up messages, a reward for his general's victory. The prince stares in confusion, wondering why his level suddenly increased so dramatically. Karak is also baffled, looking at his hands that are still glowing. He wonders what exactly this power is. He then looks at their young prince and reflects whether it could be because of the young prince. Later that night, back at their camp, the victorious orcs celebrate their unexpected triumph. Shutra, however, sits alone in his tent, frantically searching for a way to log out of the game. He tries to calm himself down, considering the two most likely possibilities for his situation. The first is that he is trapped in virtual reality due to a critical bug that might be fixed later. The second possibility, though it sounds crazy, seems increasingly more plausible to him. He might have been transported into a world that is either the game itself or one very similar to it. The realistic backgrounds, the characters he can actually converse with, everything points to this conclusion. He even checks himself for any signs of pixelation, finding none, which only reinforces his theory. The terrifying thought crosses his mind that if this is the real world, he might have to die to escape it. He quickly dismisses that idea, deciding it is far too risky to even consider trying. Just then, Karak's voice from outside snaps him out of his panic, asking if the prince has a moment to spare. The loyal general enters the tent, his face serious as he prepares to discuss something important. He asks the prince that he wants to spar with him, a topic that seems to have come out of nowhere. Karak explains that he needs to know his leader's skill with a sword, but Shutra questions the necessity. The general tosses him a wooden training sword, which the prince catches with a surprised look. Karak assures him not to worry, promising to go as easy on him as possible during their spar. Shutra scoffs at the orc's confidence, cheekily reminding him that he is talking to his prince. With a determined grin, he declares that if they are going to fight, they should do it properly. The orc warrior readies his own wooden sword, preparing to defend against his prince's charge. Shutra swings his sword at Karak's side, but his attack is clumsy and easily dodged. A humorous flashback shows the prince's previous self feebly attempting to learn swordsmanship. Another memory shows him trying to break a rock with a stick, only for the stick to shatter. Back in the present, Karak effortlessly parries the prince's attack, sending him stumbling backward. The prince falls to the ground, complaining that the orc hit him too hard and too suddenly. A system notification then appears, announcing that he has successfully acquired basic swordsmanship. He stares at the message in complete disbelief. Confused by this sudden and unexpected development, he wonders how and when he could have possibly learned the skill without any prior training. He then recalls the moment he learned psychokinesis, realizing he gained skills by experiencing attacks. Karak, seeing the prince on the ground, suggests they end the duel, but Shutra quickly objects. The prince stomps his foot on the ground, a confident and determined smirk on his face. He declares that he is just getting started. Shutra feels ready to put his newfound skill to the test. A renewed sense of purpose fills him as he charges forward, and his movements are now much more fluid and precise than before. He meets Karak's block with a powerful strike, and a flash of light erupts as their wooden swords clash. Karak expresses surprise at the prince's improved movements, wondering why he struggled so much at first. The young prince keeps up his assault, feeling confident in his newfound abilities and control. He continues to trade blows with the much larger and more experienced orc warrior. Shutra lands gracefully after an exchange. He smirks at his companion, pointing out that the fight has become much more manageable for him now. He then asks Karak what his current level is, and the orc recalls it being around 21. Shutra nonchalantly pulls up his own status window with a confident look on his face. He sees his own level as only 7, but boldly declares that he can catch up to the general in no time. He knows that unlike others in this world, he can easily check his level without any special spells. This gives him a huge advantage as he can see his detailed stats and strengthen them with bonus points. He leaps into the air, launching another powerful attack against the surprised orc warrior. The two continue their spar, with the prince's movements becoming more and more refined with each clash. He realizes that with his unique advantages, he can get stronger and surpass everyone else much faster. While they fight, he remembers the main plot of the Knight Saga game, specifically the Demon Realm arc. The story follows the protagonist Zephyr as he defeats his rival siblings to become the new Demon King. The most crucial part of this arc is the Day of Slaughter event, which is mandatory for the story. This event is a major incident where Zephyr kills all his siblings to secure his own ambitions. Since he is one of the siblings, he is obviously on that list of targets to be eliminated. He checks the current date, realizing he still has 5 years until the fateful event takes place. With this knowledge, his top priority becomes preventing the event and getting stronger than Zephyr. Later, Karak finds him in the forest, asking why he is there and if he has forgotten about the day's meeting. The orc seems annoyed that the prince has no recollection of the important gathering. He urges the young prince to hurry, explaining that everyone is already waiting for him to arrive. Shutra nervously laughs as he sits at the head of the table facing his 2 older siblings. He greets them awkwardly and they sit across from him, one calmly sipping tea while the other looks on. His older brother, the 7th prince, Chris Moonlight, tells him to speak comfortably because they are family after all. His sister, the 8th Princess Caitlin Moonlight, introduces herself, noting that this is their first time meeting face-to-face. Chris warmly insists that he can just call him Big Brother, and Shutra nervously agrees. He recalls that these two were born to the 4th queen, Elaine, the queen of lycanthropes. He also remembers that in the game, both Chris and Caitlin died a year before the Day of Slaughter, at the hands of Zephyr and the Demon King's other children. The primary reason for their downfall is the secret surrounding Caitlin's true parentage. She was not actually a child of the Demon King, but was an illegitimate daughter from another affair. Caitlin suddenly questions him, asking why he fought the enemies instead of just scouting as planned. Before he can answer, she gets up and walks over to him, asking to see if he has been injured. She leans in close to inspect him for any wounds, catching the young prince completely off guard. She reminds him that he is the weakest of siblings and needs to be more careful in the future. He is taken aback by their genuine concern, wondering if the Demon King's children are actually this close. Chris also chimes in, warning him that if he does anything reckless again, he will be in for it. Shutra stares at his siblings, questioning if they could actually be kind-hearted people. A determined glint appears in the prince's eyes as he devises a new plan to become stronger. He remembers that lycanthropes are known for having many aura users and thinks he can learn it easily. He turns to his older brother Chris, catching his eye before making a very strange request. With a cheeky smile and glowing eyes, he asks his brother to strike him with his powerful aura. Chris and Caitlin stare at him with looks of pure shock and utter disbelief. In the meantime, back at the main camp, the war against the Scarlet Lightning tribe continues in full swing, with warriors from both sides facing off in a desperate fight for survival. The battlefield is a chaotic mess of explosions and fallen soldiers from both armies. A large, armored Red Orc general single-handedly faces off against several smaller, red-skinned enemies. He easily deflects their attacks, sending them flying with his immense strength and skill. A single powerful punch from the Red Orc general is enough to shatter an enemy's face on impact. The smaller enemies scream in pain and shock, completely overwhelmed by the general's raw power. The general delivers a devastating blow to the ground, sending a shockwave that decimates his enemies. He then roars in fury, ordering his men to kill them all. He adds he will personally reward those who get the most kills. The Green Orcs respond with their own war cry, ready to face the new enemy attack, and the battle rages on. Meanwhile, Shutra suddenly finds himself back in the mysterious void. The goddess-like figure from before appears again, her presence radiating immense divine power. He then sees two shadowy figures materialize behind him, their identities a complete mystery. He wonders who these new characters are, as he is certain they never existed in the original game. The goddess places her hand on his shoulder. The prince suddenly jolts awake, but a bright light consumes his vision for a brief moment. He sits up, momentarily disoriented by the abrupt return to consciousness from the strange void, and finds himself back in his bed, the morning sun streaming into his tent through the entrance. He clutches his head, wondering if the entire experience was just a strange dream within the game. Karak suddenly appears right in front of him, startling the prince and making him scream. He jumps back in surprise while the orc calmly notes that he looks fine after his ordeal. The general questions why he begged Chris to hit him, pointing out that he knew this would happen. While Karak speaks, Shutra feels a strange energy flowing through him, a new power awakening. A system notification confirms he has acquired Aura Level 1, and he can now feel it within him. He excitedly explains his theory that getting hit by Aura can awaken one's own, which Karak says is only half right. Karak then asks if the prince was responsible for the power surge during their last battle. Instead of answering, after a brief pause, Shutra asks what happened while he was asleep, and the orc confirms big news. He reports that the main camp has also secured a major victory against the Barak tribe. The prince is confused as he thought only he and his siblings were sent to subdue the orcs. Karak explains that the main camp was led by General Bandal, an ogre worth 100 men. He recalls that Bandal is a ridiculously strong character and was his favorite to use as Zephyr. A sudden realization hits him, and he sees a new, unexpected opportunity presenting itself. He remembers that Bandal does not become Zephyr's subordinate until 3 years from now. This means he has a chance to recruit the powerful general to his own side before his brother does. He knows everything about Bandal, from his favorite gifts and food to the conditions for swaying him. The only way to sway Bandal is to defeat him in a one-on-one battle, a challenge he is now ready for. With his extensive knowledge of the game and his newfound abilities, he is confident he can succeed. He smirks, vowing to make the powerful ogre general his subordinate before Zephyr ever gets the chance. Back at Caitlin's base, a new day begins with the siblings experiencing a major surprise. The 7th Prince, Chris Moonlight, expresses disbelief that his younger brother managed to master the basic stage of Aura in just 1 day. Shutra reflects that he allocated all his stat points into Aura, so this result was completely expected. He further elaborates that Aura enhances overall physical ability, making it a better long-term investment than other skills. Chris is more than amazed, and wonders if this incredible growth is due to his Gandharva heritage. Shutra confirms maybe it is. Chris then asks Shutra if he can create a map of the tunnel system they discovered during their previous mission. Shutra confirms he has a mini-map and requests some paper and a pen to draw it out for them. Chris expresses amazement at the detail, exclaiming that it is much better than the map he currently possesses. He excitedly calls his younger brother a genius, throwing an arm around him in a proud embrace. The 8th Princess Caitlin points out that since they wiped out the enemy squad, no one else knows about the tunnels. She tells the young prince that she has one more important task for him to complete. Later, Shutra finds himself on another scouting mission, and when Karak asks him why they are doing another scouting mission, he explains that right now he is the weakest of the siblings, so he has to do these kinds of missions. He notes that at least this time, they have reinforcements thanks to the credit they have earned. They march through the forest, and there he notices 2 hooded figures observing them from the shadows. He expresses surprise to see that one of them is his sister Caitlin, her face partially hidden by the cloak. He asks why she is suddenly wearing a cloak, but she quickly signals for silence, indicating they need to be quiet. She explains that she will secretly tag along just in case anything unexpected or dangerous happens. He shows surprise at her trust, but focuses on his own goals rather than achievements. The other hooded figure introduces herself as Sira, his new adjutant for this important mission. Caitlin tells him to focus on scouting and not to mind them as they will follow separately. The group ventures back into the icy cavernous tunnel system they had previously discovered. They find all the rooms completely empty with no signs of life or valuable items. Karak remarks that the dwarves must have taken everything with them when they moved out long ago. The group continues their exploration, venturing deeper into the dark and mysterious caverns. Suddenly, Karak stops, sensing that something is approaching them from the darkness ahead. Shutra checks his minimap and confirms the presence of a large group of enemies nearby. He quickly opens his inventory with a confident and prepared look on his determined face. He pulls out a special flash magic item, a small potion he brought along for emergencies. He whispers instructions to Karak, telling him to have everyone shut their eyes on his signal. A massive swarm of glowing red eyes appears from the darkness, revealing a terrifying nest of spiders. These are rock spiders, monsters that move in swarms and possess powerful paralytic venom. With the enemies now in sight, he gives the signal and throws the flash magic potion forward. The potion shatters on the ground, releasing a blindingly bright flash of intense golden light. The entire cavern is illuminated by the sudden explosion of magical, radiant energy. The rock spiders screech in agony, completely disoriented and stunned by the unexpected flash. Shutra explains that the creatures are immobilized by light and orders his units to attack. The orc soldiers charge forward, their battle cries echoing through the massive icy cavern. They clash with the immobilized rock spiders, cutting them down with their powerful weapons. Shutra stands back, observing the battle and allowing his forces to handle the smaller threats. He pulls up his minimap again, his eyes focused on the single larger red dot among the swarm. He knows that every pack has a leader, and this one is no exception to that universal rule. He calls out to Karak, telling him to follow as they go after the main boss of the spider nest. The 2 of them break away from the main group, charging deeper into the heart of the cavern. They run past the ongoing battle, their focus solely on finding and eliminating the spider leader. They soon come face to face with a monstrous, multi-eyed creature much larger than the others. Karak lets out a fierce battle cry and leaps forward, swinging his axe with all his might. His weapon connects with the creature's tough shell, but it bounces off harmlessly, creating a bright spark. The orc warrior shows surprise at the ineffectiveness of his powerful attack against the boss. He complains about the creature's incredibly tough shell, which his axe is unable to pierce. Shutra recalls from the game that the monster's carapace is indeed insanely hard to break. He remembers that its only weakness is fire, but he does not have any fire magic at his disposal. Meanwhile, the massive spider lets out a low growl, and its many eyes glare down at the 2 small intruders. It lunges forward, ready to attack, causing Karak to brace himself for the incoming assault. The prince quickly shouts for his companion to use fire, reminding him of the creature's weakness. Karak, however, expresses confusion about where to find fire so suddenly. A new voice suddenly calls out to Shutra, instructing him to draw his sword immediately. He stares in disbelief, questioning if the voice he heard was actually channeling magic. He notices it is his sister Caitlin radiating a powerful magical aura. He lifts his sword high, and Caitlin enchants it with fire. The massive spider lunges forward, its sharp mandibles ready to tear the young prince apart. With his sword now enchanted with fire, he confidently charges forward to meet the beast head-on. He is ready to unleash the full power of his new weapon. He parries the creature's attack with his enchanted blade. The impact creates a powerful shockwave. He then leaps into the air, his cape billowing behind him as he prepares for a downward strike. He unleashes a powerful burning blade attack, engulfing the spider's many eyes in flames. The fiery attack spreads across the cavern floor, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Shutra lands gracefully with a confident and determined look on his face after the successful attack. He is then showered with multiple level-up notifications as a reward for defeating the boss spider. Checking his status, he feels pleased to see he has reached level 9, a significant milestone in his growth. Seeing him glow, his sister Caitlin asks about the strange light that appeared from him. Shutra dismisses it as a blessing that sometimes happens, explaining it is a blessing from the Gandharva heritage, a quick lie to cover his unique game-like abilities. She then questions how he knew how to handle the spiders so effectively. He claims he read about them in a book, creating a simple explanation for his unexpected knowledge. Karak suddenly calls for his attention, pointing toward a new discovery deeper in the cave. They find a massive ornate gate built into the cavern wall, a structure that seems completely out of place in the natural surroundings. The group cautiously walks through the gate and enter into a large torchlit chamber beyond it. The prince immediately recognizes the chamber's design. It is a familiar sight from his extensive time playing the game. He realizes they have stumbled upon a town portal, a discovery that opens up tremendous new strategic possibilities. Karak asks if he knows what the portal is, but Shutra claims he just has a feeling about it. He notes that the portal's design is definitely dwarven, a detail that confirms his suspicions. He recalls never seeing such portals while playing as Zephyr, but he encountered them several times while playing as the hero character. He remembers that these magical portals are activated by infusing them with a sufficient amount of magic. He tells his sister that he thinks the device is a portal, a statement that clearly surprises her. Syrah agrees with the prince's assessment, and Caitlin asks if they know where it leads. Karak spots a nearby plaque with strange writing on it, which might hold the answer to their questions. The group gathers around the plaque to examine the inscription, hoping to find some clues about the portal's function. Caitlin notes that the writing is not the common demon language and appears to be dwarven script. She then asks if anyone can read it. She admits that she herself doesn't know the language. She turns to Syrah for help, but the adjutant also apologizes for her inability to read the ancient script. To everyone's surprise, Shutra casually reads the inscription aloud, identifying the portal's location and function. He continues to read, explaining that it's connected to another portal in the same network. He suddenly stops, confused as to how he can suddenly read and understand the dwarven script. A system notification then appears, confirming he has acquired dwarven script level 1. Karak is amazed by the prince's new ability, and Shutra can only confirm that it seems he can understand the language now. Syrah also questions when he learned the language, and Caitlin asks him to read the rest of the inscription. He explains that the inscription says the portal will work if they put some magic into the device. He then asks his sister to infuse the portal with magic, but she tells him to do it himself. He sheepishly admits that he's not very good at magic manipulation, a lie to hide the fact he cannot use conventional magic. Caitlin reluctantly agrees and infuses the portal with her magic, causing it to activate. The portal glows with a bright ethereal blue light as the magical energy flows through it. A holographic map of the surrounding area materializes, showing the Gishka mountain range in detailed relief. Shutra points out their current location and the position of the connected portal on the map. Karak observes that the main force of the Scarlet Lightning tribe is positioned in front of that mountain range. Caitlin decides to stop for the day. She adds they need to discuss this new strategic advantage with her brother Chris. Back at the camp, Chris is ecstatic about the discovery of the portal, recognizing it as a game-changing find for their military operations. He excitedly embraces his younger brother, calling him a good luck charm for their forces. He offers to do anything for him as a reward, a promise that the young prince is quick to consider seriously. Shutra initially tries to refuse the offer, but his brother insists, wanting to reward him properly as both family and military leader. After a brief moment of hesitation, the prince decides to take his brother up on the generous offer. He makes a significant request, something he's been contemplating for a while to accelerate his growth. He asks his older brother to teach him the legendary Beast God Fist martial art. Chris is stunned into silence by the unexpected and serious nature of his younger brother's request. Shutra explains that since his level is too low for advanced weapons, he wants to learn powerful hand-to-hand techniques instead. The Beast God Fist is a powerful S-rank martial art passed down through the lycanthrope royal family. He knows it's a big request and starts to backtrack, assuming his brother will refuse. To his surprise, Chris agrees to teach him, though with certain limitations. However, he clarifies that he cannot teach him the secret techniques of martial arts. Instead of the complete Beast God Fist, he offers to teach his younger brother how to properly use and control aura. Shutra is left speechless by the offer. Seeing his silence, Chris assumes he doesn't like the alternative offer, but the prince quickly reassures him of his acceptance. With the deal now settled, Chris gets a serious look on his face. Addressing his younger brother, he asks if it's acceptable for him to think of him as another brother. Shutra is taken aback by the heartfelt question. He realizes what his brother means by those words. This represents a significant step in their relationship, a sign of true acceptance into the family. He quickly recognizes that this emotional bond is even more valuable than martial arts training. The two brothers shake hands, sealing their newfound alliance with a firm and determined grip. Caitlin looks on with a warm smile, happy to see her two brothers finally bonding properly. Shutra declares that they will do their best together, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead in both battle and family matters. A system notification confirms that a normal alliance has been formed with his two siblings. The alliance status is still at a basic level, but it represents a crucial first step for their future cooperation and mutual protection. The sun sets over the mountains, casting a warm orange glow over the entire landscape as the siblings solidify their bond. Meanwhile, at the garrison of the Scarlet Lightning tribe, a new and sinister plot begins to unfold. Red Orc soldiers stand guard with grim expressions. Inside one of their dark candlelit tents, their leader, a powerful-looking orc, addresses a prisoner with a cunning and cruel smirk on his face. He suggests that she must have come here targeting their stronghold from the very start. Grinning, he then addresses the young woman as princess and demands to know what has brought her to his domain. Before him, a young elf girl is bound by magical chains, completely helpless. She is none other than the sixth princess, Felicia Doomblade. Back in his tent, Shutra reviews his status screen. He notices that his charisma stat is lagging behind all his other attributes. He recalls that at first, all his stats increased by 2 points each, but now charisma only increases by 1 point at a time. He wonders why his charisma is growing slower than his other abilities. This makes him remember a key detail from the original Knight Saga game where appearance and charisma were two separate stats, each with different functions and growth rates. Appearance simply meant how good-looking or beautiful a character was. Meanwhile, charisma is about how likable a character is in the eyes of others. However, he dismisses the thought, figuring the slower growth makes sense given his rapid development in combat skills and aura manipulation. More importantly, he is approaching level 10, a crucial milestone for any character in the game system. He recalls that when the main characters reached level 10 in Knight Saga, their unique skills would also level up significantly. He wonders if he also hits level 10, then surely at least one of his skills must level up. Just then, Karak's voice interrupts his thoughts, announcing that everyone is ready to head out for their next mission. The prince agrees to move out, and a confident and eager smile appears on his face. He seems prepared for the upcoming battle. Karak notes his unusually good mood and asks about it, but Shutra simply brushes it off, hiding his true excitement about approaching the level threshold. The two of them step out of the tent, ready to lead their forces into battle once again. They stand before their assembled army of orc soldiers who stand ready and wait for their command. With a determined look, the prince gives the order to advance, and the entire army begins to march forward toward their objective. They head toward the same dark and ominous cave entrance, the path to their next major engagement. Inside the cave, lycanthrope soldiers are already engaged in a fierce battle with local monsters. The wolf-like warriors fight with incredible ferocity and clear the path to the ornate gate within the cavern system. The main group, including Shutra, Chris, and the Princess Caitlin, arrive at the portal chamber, ready to begin the next phase of their operation. Two hooded lycanthrope mages are already there, inspecting the portal to ensure it is safe for use. They confirm that the portal connects to the Eska River tributary, just as the prince had predicted from the dwarven inscription. They also assure the group that the portal is functioning properly, a testament to enduring dwarven craftsmanship that has survived for centuries. With the portal now confirmed to be safe and operational, Chris gives the order to move out through the magical gateway. The two mages begin activating the portal, channeling their magical energy into the ancient stone device. The portal activates with a shimmering blue light, revealing a gateway to another location in the Gishka Mountains. Shutra stares at the active portal with a mix of awe and excitement on his young, determined face. He thinks to himself how amazing it is to see one of these magical gates functioning in real life, not just in a game interface. His sister Caitlin calls out to him, urging him to hurry up and join them before the portal becomes unstable. Just as they prepare to step through, he snaps out of his thoughts and rushes forward, ready to follow his siblings into the unknown territory. They step through the portal and arrive in a new, unfamiliar location, a rocky and barren landscape overlooking a valley. The prince looks around, taking in the new surroundings with a curious and observant expression. They stand on a high cliff overlooking a massive enemy encampment spread out below them in the valley. Chris expresses pleasure with the discovery, confirming that their intelligence about the enemy base location was correct. He estimates there are about 5,000 enemy troops below them, and states their first priority should be targeting the logistics officer. He outlines a plan for a pincer attack with General Bandal leading the main frontal assault force. However, Sira points out that something seems strange about the encampment layout below them. She notes that there are far too few troops visible for a main camp, and Chris wonders where the rest of the enemy forces could have been deployed. Just then, a distant sound of combat catches their attention, signaling a battle already in progress somewhere nearby. Shutra looks toward the sound, confirming that there is definitely a fight happening in the distance. Chris instructs him to focus his aura into his eyes to enhance his vision for a better view of the distant conflict. He does that, and his eyes start glowing with a faint white light that enhances his visual capabilities. He can now clearly see the battle between the Scarlet Lightning tribe fighting against an unknown force. He recognizes one side as the Red Orcs, but the other group is completely unfamiliar to him at first glance. He notes that the scale of the battle is too small to be General Bandal's main army engagement. He then recognizes the mysterious warriors as Dark Elves, a race known for their fierce combat skills and stealth capabilities. The rest of the group expresses surprise at this revelation, not expecting to see Dark Elves operating in this remote mountain region. Shutra explains that he can identify them by their slender build and the fact that they are riding Dracos, the flying reptilian mounts favored by Dark Elf forces. Chris spots the Dark Elves suddenly retreating from the battlefield, an unexpected tactical withdrawal. He wonders if their commander has fallen in battle as they are withdrawing with incredible speed and coordination. The group is left confused by this development, questioning why the fight ended so abruptly and what strategic purpose the retreat served. Shutra feels particularly puzzled, wondering what Dark Elves could possibly be doing in this area so far from their traditional territories. Later, back at their main camp, the siblings receive an emergency holographic call from General Bandal. The general congratulates them on discovering the ancient portal network, a rumor he had already heard circulating through command channels. He commends Prince Chris's army for their impressive find, asking how they knew the portal would be there. Chris gives all the credit to his younger brother, who humbly claims that he just got lucky with his discovery. The general promises a handsome reward from the Demon King's castle for this valuable strategic asset. He then asks about a small skirmish that occurred near the Scarlet Lightning tribe's main camp. The general explains that it was the Dark Elves who seem to have jumped into the fight on their own initiative without coordination with main forces. Chris expresses confusion as he has heard they were supposed to be official reinforcements from the Demon King's castle. The Ogre General clarifies that there is a serious problem developing a major complication in their battle plans. He reveals that the commander of the Dark Elf unit has been captured by the Scarlet Lightning Orcs during the engagement. Shutra asks who the captured commander is, recognizing this as crucial information for their next strategic move. General Bandal informs them that it is someone they know well, a person of great importance to the royal family. The captured commander is none other than the 6th princess, Felicia Doomblade, their own sister. Chris and Caitlin are shocked to learn that their own sister has been captured by the enemy forces. Felicia is the daughter of the 3rd Queen Sylvia Doomblade, a former Dark Elf princess, and has a twin brother named Sylvan Doomblade. Shutra recalls that in the original game, both siblings were part of the 4th Princess Anastasia Necreon's faction. He wonders why Felicia has appeared in this remote region, speculating that she might be trying to claim all the credit for the military campaign. Chris asks General Bandal if the Scarlet Lightning tribe knows that their captive is a Dark Elf princess. The general admits that he has not been able to confirm that crucial information with his intelligence sources yet. The group discusses their limited options, deciding to attempt a rescue if possible, but without engaging in any prior negotiations with the enemy. Chris declares firmly that he has no intention of bowing his head to the enemy to secure her release through diplomacy. The Ogre General agrees to gather more information and contact them if any new developments occur. After the call ends, the 3 siblings stand in tense silence, contemplating their dangerous next move. Chris breaks the silence with a dry smile as he comments on their sister's unexpected capture. Caitlin insists they have to save her if she is still alive, but her brother warns that such a mission will not be easy or safe. Caitlin is taken aback by his hesitation. He explains the extreme dangers of attempting a rescue mission behind enemy lines. With a determined look, she declares that they must save Felicia because she is their sister despite everything. Chris hesitates, a bead of sweat running down his temple as he weighs the risks and potential rewards of the operation. He knows she is right about family loyalty, but the practical realities of the situation make him cautious about their approach. The lycanthrope soldiers stand guard outside the command tent, ready for battle at any moment. Chris gathers his siblings and generals and lays out a simple and direct plan for the rescue operation. While General Bandal's forces lure the main enemy army away, they will launch a surprise attack from behind the enemy lines once the main force is engaged. Chris will push into the center of the garrison to cause maximum chaos while Shutra and Caitlin carry out their specific missions. Shutra confirms the mission objectives clearly. Burn the food storage, destroy the armory, and rescue Princess Felicia. Chris adds a crucial condition that if things become too dangerous, they must pull back immediately without completing all objectives. Caitlin objects to this withdrawal condition, but her brother silences her protest by reminding her that he is the unit leader with final authority. He argues that they cannot let Felicia's selfish actions ruin their entire operation and risk more soldiers' lives. Shutra realizes that Chris does not actually want to save their sister, a surprising and cold revelation about their family dynamics. He wonders what could have happened between the siblings to cause such a deep rift in their relationship. The night falls across the mountains, and the forces of General Bandal begin their advance on the enemy encampment. The general leads the charge personally, his warriors letting out fierce battle cries as they rush forward into combat. The ogre general roars powerfully and orders his men to take down the Scarlet Lightning tribe with all their strength and determination. Meanwhile, Chris and his unit watch the unfolding battle from a high cliff overlooking the enemy camp. They observe the enemy's movements carefully, waiting for the perfect moment to launch their surprise attack from the rear. From their vantage point, they see Bandal's forces clash with the enemy, explosions lighting up the night sky with orange and red flames. The frontal assault becomes a chaotic mess of flying rocks and desperate hand-to-hand combat between the two armies. A powerful ogre warrior charges into the fray, ready to wreak havoc on the enemy formations. He roars with fury, his eyes glowing with a menacing red light as he orders his men to eliminate all opposition. Karak asks if they should join the fight immediately, but Shutra tells him to wait for Chris's signal to begin their operation. The two armies become locked in a brutal and bloody conflict with casualties mounting on both sides rapidly. The battle transforms into a chaotic whirlwind of swinging axes and desperate savage cries of war echoing through the valley. A large, armored ogre warrior from Bandal's army stands his ground against the enemy horde, refusing to yield any territory. The general is watching the battle intently, and then he gives the predetermined signal, and his entire army begins a strategic retreat from the battlefield. Chris watches as the enemy camp becomes engulfed in flames, a direct result of their planned tactical withdrawal. He then addresses his own troops, telling them that it is now their turn to enter the fight and execute their mission. The siblings stand ready, their faces set with determination as they prepare to lead their forces into battle from the rear. They charge down the cliff face, their soldiers following close behind with fierce battle cries that echo through the night. The Scarlet Lightning orcs are caught completely off guard by the sudden and unexpected flank attack from behind their positions. The lycanthrope and orc soldiers tear through the enemy ranks with savage and seemingly unstoppable force. Caitlin warns her younger brother to be careful as they rush into the heart of the chaotic battle surrounding them. Shutra pulls up his mini-map, using the magical interface to navigate through the enemy camp with precision and accuracy. He shouts for his unit to follow him to the left, identifying a direct path to the enemy's food storage facilities. Karak roars with fury, ordering his men to eliminate every last one of the enemy soldiers they encounter. He clashes with a red orc warrior, his powerful axe easily overpowering his opponent's weapon in a shower of sparks. The enemy cries out in pain and shock as he is sent flying backward by the sheer force of the orc's powerful attack. Karak continues his destructive rampage, but just then, a red orc attacks him from his blind spot. He is startled at this sudden attack, but from behind a dagger comes flying and kills the red orc on spot. It turns out this dagger is thrown by Shutra. Karak looks at him surprised. A system notification appears before Shutra's eyes, announcing he has learned dagger throwing level 1 through combat experience. He grins with satisfaction, a new and deadly skill now at his disposal to use against his unsuspecting foes. Karak expresses amazement at the prince's sudden new ability, but Shutra dismisses the achievement, urging him to keep moving forward toward their objectives. They arrive at the food storage area, and the prince orders his men to set it ablaze immediately to cripple enemy supplies. But then he suddenly remembers their primary mission regarding Felicia, a look of concern appearing on his face as a dark thought crosses his mind. He tells Karak they have to find Felicia first before completing the other objectives, but the orc is unsure how they can locate her in the massive camp. The prince pulls up his mini-map again and starts studying the magical interface. He explains that since Felicia is a neutral character in the game's system, she should be marked as blue or purple on his map rather than red for enemies. His eyes widen in surprise as he spots a single purple dot in a nearby command tent on the mini-map display. He quickly tells Karak to follow him, and they rush toward the tent where his sister is being held captive. They burst through the tent flap, their sudden entrance catching the occupant completely off guard and unprepared. Shutra scans the room quickly, certain that this is the right location, but Felicia is nowhere immediately visible within the space. Just then, a familiar voice calls out his name, and he turns to see his older sister sitting there safely but restrained. She is bound by glowing red magical chains, powerful restraints that keep her from escaping on her own. Felicia asks him how he managed to find her location within the vast enemy camp. She seems clearly surprised to see her younger brother. Shutra tells his sister Felicia that they will talk later. It is too dangerous to remain in the enemy camp and that he will untie her so they can escape quickly. Inside, he reflects if he can get Felicia indebted to him here, it'll be useful later. The princess remains silent, her expression unreadable as she processes the unexpected rescue by her younger brother. After freeing her from the magical restraints, they escape to the tent and begin making their way back toward their own forces through the chaotic battlefield. Shutra tells her to hurry as they need to regroup with Caitlin and Chris. Felicia is surprised to hear that her other siblings are also participating in her rescue operation. She questions if they are really here to save her, with a hint of suspicion in her voice. Shutra says of course and asks why she is even asking that if they are not supposed to come rescue her. She mutters no and then tells Shutra that he has been far removed from the power struggle, so he doesn't know, but before she could complete her sentence, Karak suddenly warns them that enemy soldiers are closing in fast from multiple directions. Shutra calls her Felicia and quickly urges her to follow him to safety through the maze of tents and fighting, and while they make a run for it, she wonders when he started calling her by name. He continues to lead her through the chaotic battlefield, his focus solely on getting her to safety despite the surrounding danger. Felicia suddenly shouts a warning, her eyes wide with terror as she spots a new threat approaching from behind. But Shutra is too late to turn as a flaming arrow strikes him straight at his chest. Blood splatters from his mouth, and the next moment he is engulfed in flames. Karak and Felicia could only watch in horror. Felicia shouts his name in disbelief. Just then, another red orc attacks her from behind. She turns to the orc, and with rage burning inside her, she is about to strike that idiot orc. But just then, a flaming arrow comes from behind and pierces the red orc. Felicia turns again to see who has protected her, and she gets startled to witness Shutra appearing from the smoke unscathed. He is holding a fire bow with the fire arrow in his hands. System notifications appear before Shutra, announcing he has acquired magic control and fire arrow skills through the combat experience. A confident smirk spreads across his face as he realizes his new magical abilities have awakened. Other red orcs appear before him, and he grins with a look of pure excitement on his face as he prepares to test out his newfound powers against this formidable opponent. He conjures a bow and arrow made of pure fire energy, ready to take on the monstrous creatures before him. He fires multiple flaming arrows in quick succession, each one finding its mark on the enemy soldiers surrounding them. He laughs with glee, amazed that he can now use real magic in this dangerous world. He continues to fire his magical arrows, reveling in his newfound power and abilities against the enemy forces. But just then, a massive wave of icy energy attack lands on ground near him. He didn't anticipate that attack. He shows surprise at the sudden appearance of ice magic, an element he hasn't encountered before in combat. It turns out an enemy archer is taking aim at them from a hidden position, and his icy arrow is pointed directly at the vulnerable princess. Shutra realizes the danger and quickly pushes his sister out of the way of the incoming attack. He puts himself in the path of the arrow, taking the hit directly to protect his sister from harm. Felicia is stunned by his selfless act, her eyes wide with a mix of shock and disbelief at his sacrifice. Multiple ice arrows rain from above, a deadly barrage aimed specifically at the young prince. He looks up at the attack, and with a wide grin, he declares that this new power is his for the taking, ready to absorb the ice magic. The ice shards slam into the ground around him, creating a massive explosion of frozen energy and mist. A silhouette of the prince stands amidst the icy smoke, a new power awakening within him from the exposure. A system notification confirms he has acquired Ice Arrow Level 1, just as he expected would happen. He looks on with a grim expression, the thrill of new power overshadowed by the pain of the magical attack. But then he collapses down. One of the ice arrows is struck deep in his chest, and that is too much for his small body to handle. A critical health warning appears in his vision, his HP dropping to a dangerously low level from the powerful attack. He grits his teeth in frustration, realizing how foolish he was to take such a direct hit from powerful magic. He turns to his sister, a look of pain and exhaustion on his face as he struggles to stand after the impact. She scolds him for his reckless actions, asking who gave him permission to save her in the first place. She calls him the weakest of siblings, questioning who he thinks he is to be saving anyone. He realizes that she has misunderstood his intentions, a look of confusion appearing on his face at her reaction. She then asks when he learned to use magic, with her eyes fixed on the enemy approaching in the distance. He sees the defeated ice mage and realizes his sister took care of the threat herself while he was recovering. He understands that she thinks he saved her intentionally, a misconception that could work to his advantage in building trust. He is surprised by a sudden flash of green light. Felicia is kneeling beside him, and her hands are glowing with a warm, healing energy that feels soothing. She places her hands on his chest, channeling her magic to mend his wounds and restore his vitality. Then his chest starts glowing with healing energy, the magic working its wonders on his injuries. A system notification appears, confirming he has acquired Heal Level 1 from experiencing healing magic. Felicia asks him if he's feeling better now, and he confirms that his health is now full again, using a game term she doesn't understand. Just then, a strange, otherworldly sound echoes through the camp, catching both of their attention immediately. A massive, red-skinned ogre with glowing red eyes appears from behind the smoke, its presence radiating immense power and threat. Shutra recognizes it as a blood ogre, a powerful and dangerous ogre mutation from the game. They stand together facing the new and formidable threat that blocks their escape path. Shutra feels panic rising as he wonders how they are supposed to fight such a powerful creature with their current abilities and injuries. The blood ogre charges toward them with terrifying speed, forcing the sibling duo to run for their lives. Shutra cannot believe how fast the massive creature moves despite its enormous size, cursing aloud at their terrible luck. Felicia turns while running and tells her brother to try to buy them some time, explaining that she will blow the creature away with her magic once she prepares the spell. Shutra expresses doubt about how he is supposed to accomplish such a difficult task against such a powerful enemy. Just then, one devastating attack from the blood ogre lands just inches from them, causing the ground to burst apart with debris flying everywhere. Fortunately, both siblings manage to dodge the attack just in time, continuing their desperate escape. Shutra tells Felicia that he will aggro the creature somehow so she can prepare her magic properly. Felicia shows confusion at the unfamiliar term aggro, and Shutra dismisses it as just a thing he says without explanation. They keep running through the chaotic battlefield, with Shutra shouting for Karak to come help them. From a distance, Karak replies that he is coming to their aid. Shutra tells him loud and clear that they will do it just like last time and he should get ready for the plan. Shutra then opens his system interface, spotting a special dwarven dagger in his inventory that he previously couldn't use due to level restrictions. He conjures the dagger and takes a fighting pose, stabbing the weapon into the ground beneath him while chanting the spell, "Under the King's Banner." A golden aura circles him and then shoots straight to Karak, who receives the power and is startled to witness a sudden 100-fold increase in his strength. Karak grits his teeth as he feels his stats multiply dramatically, roaring with excitement as he attacks the blood ogre with his axe using all his enhanced strength. The blood ogre manages to parry the attack but still gets pushed meters back by the massive impact, feeling startled and furious at this unexpected resistance. Before the blood ogre can steady itself, an invisible Felicia appears behind him in the air, reaching just before him and releasing her prepared spell. The strange attack causes the blood ogre to fall flat on the ground with a heavy thud. Seeing this perfect opportunity, Karak rushes at the stunned creature, jumping high into the air while shouting that this is the end. He lands with a clean strike to the gut of the blood ogre, creating such a huge impact that the ground beneath the creature crashes inward. The blood ogre cries out in terrible pain, spilling blood from its mouth before finally dying with Karak standing triumphantly on its body. Watching from afar, Shutra laughs and says they have won this difficult battle. Inside, he reflects that there are still other enemies left around them, but the most troublesome one has been taken care of successfully. Just then, a golden aura starts radiating from his body, surprising him with its sudden appearance. A notification appears before him, stating that he has leveled up to level 10. Another notification follows immediately, announcing that his Protagonist Setting Adjustment skill has also leveled up. Shutra laughs with excitement, finding this development absolutely awesome for his growth. Another notification informs him that thanks to the effect of Protagonist Setting Adjustment Level 2, a new passive skill has been added to his abilities. Shutra checks the details while grinning like he won the lottery, saying now he shall open the gift box of new powers. When he opens it, the description says he has obtained Battlefield Protection Level 1, which causes the accuracy of projectile weapons aimed at him to decrease slightly. Shutra recognizes this as the classic protagonist plot armor effect where bullets rain down in volleys, yet somehow every single one just barely misses the main character. He reflects that with this skill, he can actually reproduce that famous protagonist plot armor effect in real combat situations. Meanwhile, from all around them, the remaining red orcs start coming right at them to attack in overwhelming numbers. Felicia runs toward him shouting that enemies are surrounding them and asking what he is doing standing there. Shutra gets back to his senses and says, "Okay, ready to continue fighting." Felicia turns back and chants the spell, "O wind, whirl, and rage," causing a sudden wind whirl that sends the whole herd of red orcs flying in all directions away from them. Shutra looks at the attack with astonishment, reflecting that it looks like magic but recognizes that it is actually something different. He realizes that Felicia is summoning spirits, and that dark elves, whether corrupted or not, still maintain their elven connection to spiritual forces. He understands that Felicia is not just a brilliant mage, but was born a spirit summoner, a rare and powerful ability. He wonders if he could be hit with something like that spiritual power too while looking at Felicia, who is causing havoc among the red orcs. He grins while standing there, impressed by his sister's unexpected capabilities. So, this is it for today, and that's how our boy Shutra went from 0 to, well, slightly less of a 0. He's stuck in a game that's trying to kill him, his stats are still garbage, and his siblings are a mess of family drama and potential betrayal. But hey, at least he's got that sweet, sweet protagonist bonus working for him, for now. Smash that subscribe button so you don't miss the next chapter of this beautiful disaster. Drop a comment below on which sibling you think will betray him first, and hit that like button if you'd also dump all your points into Aura and hope for the best. See you in the next life, Breakers.